Green Bay is a small town, only 100,000 people. Those 100,000 people may be different in many ways, but there's one thing that brings them all together: the Green Bay Packers. In Titletown, the blue-collar city only knows hard work, tailgating, championships, but more importantly, they know family.
We have a saying in this town: faith, family, and the Green Bay Packers are all that you need. Sanjay and I grew up in Green Bay. You could say that we are Green Bay, or even better, the voices of Green Bay. We bring a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience.
Friendship, family, and football.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is the Freezer Podcast. What is up? We are back. This is the Freezer Podcast, where we bring you a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience. I'm Sanjay, and alongside me, like always, is Matt. No Fred today. Maybe he might pop in. Never know.
yeah, you never
Be
know.
a surprise cameo here from him. But if it is just the two of us, it's, the OGs right here on the show. It is good to be back. I wasn't here last week, but
Good to
it's
see your
kind
face,
of a good time to be back, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know
a
why.
perfect time.
It's a good time to be back. But before I move on to a Victory Tuesday, I got to eat a lot of crow here because, I think I owe the Packers, and I think I owe, our show. I think I owe, you and Fred, which I can't believe I'm doing this right now with Fred not on the show. But I think I owe everybody an apology. I get it. I root for, the Packers, but when I'm smart and I make these picks and I'm making them realistic, I'm thinking, look,
Smart
I
and
want to see
realistic.
something. I want to see something out of this team. It's like a parent. I always say this with my picks. It's like a parent. You are always tough on your kids because you want them to do better. You want them to succeed. You want them to have a higher bar. That's what I want from my Packers, right? So
Just motivating them.
yes. So
Okay.
This is a Victory Tuesday based on the fucking win that we just got, excuse my language, over the Kansas City Chiefs and Taylor Swift. So Matthew, you were at the game, so I'm just gonna throw this over to you. Talk about the environment, the feels, maybe all the Go Pack goes you heard at the end of the game, coming out of the tunnel, going down the tunnel. How was it, man? How was it?
It was awesome. It was I've been to many games, and I gotta tell you, it was an all-timer. And if you've been there enough, you can sort of tell pre-game, the vibes feel different outside. People are a little bit extra juiced up. We pulled in about 3:45, and the parking spots we normally go to were gone. It was an early arriving crowd. People were ready to rage and have fun. And
Right.
Fortunately, the game matched the vibe outside. It was so fun.
I bet.
And the Chiefs fans are great, man. They were fun to interact with. We had a couple of them around us, but they were shooting the shit with us and kind of giving it and back and forth. So that was fun. But just in terms of the vibes, it was immaculate. It was one of those games where pregame was snowing out, so it was dark at 3-4 o'clock, so it was the lights the whole time. Lambeau looked immaculate in the dark in the snow, and then right before kickoff, the snow stopped, the wind cut out, and it was perfect football weather. So pumped to break the game down because a lot of fun stuff happened, and the crowd was electric. I don't know how it sounded on TV, but I felt like the crowd brought it most of the night and didn't really have to have Bill Jarts yell at them too much.
That's always kind of probably the measuring stick is how much did Bill Jarts have to tell everybody quiet please, offense
He
at
did.
work. I really do think it's, especially with the Kansas City fans, it's probably a different vibe because it's probably mutual respect. Hey, you guys have been doing this for a while. I get it. You're probably on to a new quarterback, just like we had to go to a new quarterback. It's going to take a couple of years maybe, and then you'll be back where you are because they know that these organizations know how to win. They're successful. Yep. They know how to run a franchise. They're not going to run into the ground. We're not like the Raiders. We're not the Browns. We're not a clown show, right? So the fans probably have no hatred towards us. It's probably just hey, all right, we'll see who can get it. Maybe you guys can, shock the world, or we're just going to show you that we're the Chiefs. And, right out of the gates, it was immediately 75-yard drive.
Yeah.
Jordan Love just displaying, which again, this is, and I hope Bill is still I got a coworker who's just been on the bandwagon for Jordan Love since the beginning, since the day we drafted. He has always said J Love all the time at work. And I got to say, this was probably, and I'm sure you agree too, this was the coming out game for Jordan Love. I think this was the moment that you saw what he can potentially be. And we're not putting him with the yellow jacket yet, but we are saying that, look, and this is where I'll eat my crow and say, look, maybe I was a little too heavy on the, hey, maybe we should start thinking about drafting, quarterback just to get some competition. There is no more competition. If you surround him with the tools that he needs, which is an offensive line, a competent offensive line, you give him targets that he can get to, which it looks like, if Luke Musgrave can get back healthy, and then you obviously, Christian Watson's a big one, but if you maybe could find one more target, or hopefully Malik Heath or Dontavian Wicks really, takes over the role as like a third or fourth, you really have to supply this guy with the tools. And the same thing with running backs as well. How do we keep AJ Dillon? Does Aaron Jones, is he a cut casualty, or does he get traded, or whatever the situation may be, you need to surround him. Because I don't think he can just go say, like Aaron Rodgers, right? Like in that Cardinal game where he literally was playing with like 4s and 5s, and then
Aberdaris, and
you're right. Like I don't think he's there yet, but I do think. Hey, I will say though, I mean the people he's playing with right now isn't like it's just like like the riches, right? Like you're playing with AJ Dillon, who's been struggling, which I will give you credit, AJ. You have really stepped up, right? And then you're playing with these wide receivers that, all right, you still want to see a little bit more on them. It's not like you have Devontae, right, where you have an established guy. So I would make that argument that Jordan Love is kind of doing it with, whatever he's got, right?
He is. And before I expand on that, I wanted to acknowledge Blaine had noted during the game he didn't sit down. Neither did we. That's one of the only games I've ever stood the entire game.
Really?
I didn't go into the concourse at halftime. I just chose to sit down.
Time out though. Were you standing because people were standing in front of you the whole game, or did you stand because you were just like, I'm that hyped? There's a difference, because your seats are so close that I can understand that if you had to stand because you just couldn't.
Well, let's put it this way: the people in front of us for 11 rows didn't sit down, so everybody was up, very few sit down. So
okay.
it was that type of game. But I completely agree. This was sort of I think Jordan came out maybe last week, but like this was what cemented it. So I know I said to myself kind of last week, like, all right, you beat the Lions, you looked amazing, like that was such a fun game to watch. Right, but can you do it again? You got the Super Bowl champs coming into your own house. For all intents and purposes, they got a really good defense. And it was going to be a good test, and he delivered again. So this was a game that I think pretty much everybody preseason had us chalked up as a loss. And as the season shook out, it's looked like it was definitely going to be a loss until earlier. And the Taylor Swift stuff, just to touch on that, they did not say anything in the game, and I didn't know where she was until someone started saying, "Oh, she's by the Reggie White thing," and I heard many stories from my own friends that people were just backs to the field with their phones up. So just like if you caught yourself doing that, shame on you. Anyway, but to go back to Love, like I think the fan base now has exhaled. It's like, okay, I think we got something here. Like, are we ready to put the gold jack on him? No. Are we saying he's going to be, the third installment in this QB lineage that we have? Maybe, I don't know, but right now I think the fact of the matter is Jordan Love has proven himself, right, to be not just competent but effective, and you see where this is leading. And you made the point about the receivers maybe not necessarily being all household names or A+ guys, but I think the world the last 2 weeks saw, holy shit, the Packers have some stuff going on here.
Right.
And if they get a couple more to it and they keep going, look out. I mean, that's kind of the general consensus I got from some of the national guys this week, which I don't necessarily, put a ton of stock into, but I think it's worth mentioning because, a lot of the times the narrative about the Packers is not right because a lot of people don't watch them and they just kind of assume things. And now that they're seeing them beat the Lions on the road, beat the defending Super Bowl champs at home, and convincingly both. I mean, they outplayed both teams throughout both games. So I'm super excited for how this is going to go, not just for the rest of this year, but you project this out into the future. I mean, it's exciting times in Green Bay right now, and I think people should definitely be feeling it.
So before I get to the Brian Gutekunst part of it, and I'm going to answer your question here, True North, too. But Does the expectation and the level of, I guess,
He done?
want and need for this quarterback now? Because like, okay, like before it was, okay, we have to be patient. We need to, I guess, see how he does. It was a struggle. And we're like, man, maybe he needs like competition, or maybe we need to rethink this whole Jordan Love thing. But now this stretch of 3 games, or heck, even from the Steelers game, even though it was a loss, like this stretch now that he's shown, like, that he could be the guy. This last stretch where it's a lot in our favor, does that change the output of like the question from True North, like, does he get paid a different type of money now? Do we restructure that? I do think there is that, answer of, hey, maybe we could extend him, but how much are we extending him to? Where is it like oh shoot, we're going to give you like, Lawrence money, or are we going to just give you like, Daniel Jones kind of money,
Yeah. I think these next, what is it, 5 games, 6 games, whatever it
5
is,
games.
like they're equally as important as what he's done these last 3, because now they're going to be favored in these games. They're going to be viewed as
Where
the
you're
team coming in that
expected to
should
win, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Now that
you're
you've
not the
shown and
underdog.
Arrived, right?
Yeah. You're not playing with house money. You should be, the team winning. So he's got to play well still. They got to keep this up. They can't mail it in. They cannot rest on their laurels. They can't just be happy that, hey, we beat the Chiefs and the Lions. Let's take a lap. No, keep it going. And it seems like that's kind of their mentality. It's 1 week at a time that they've kind of put the win behind them and they move forward. So that's his Instagram post.
His
read the caption.
I got my foot like on the neck and on the neck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he clearly expects himself to be the guy too. So if you're going to say that on Instagram, then yes, then we as fans expect you to go win these next 5 games, right?
Agreed.
Go get us potentially in the playoffs, control what we can control. That's win, right?
If they make the playoffs after what happened, I mean,
coach of the year.
Dare I say legendary? Like, I mean, I know it's legendary, but it's like what a feat and what an accomplishment.
Where you were down in the depths. I mean, I don't know if I saw rock bottom or not, but I felt like I did when in that Raider game, throwing those picks that he did, having 2 chances to come back and win. The Raiders were just begging to lose that game. I don't understand how we didn't win. And then just to see that defeat in his eyes, and then the press conference, and then obviously, yes, you lost to the Vikings in a close one too, when you lose their star quarterback, blah, blah, blah. But, if there's a time to get in on a, little bit of a luck of the draw kind of thing, you have an easy season ahead of you. You don't have a Kirk Cousins now because he got hurt. This would be your time. Show the world, like, look, I had the opportunity in front of me and I seized it, right? Like, go get it.
And I don't see why he won't. I think LaFleur is doing a masterful job this year of keeping this team focused and not listening to any of that outside noise. I mean, he's got Jordan Love dialed in and really the rest of the offense. And when it goes back to the conversation about, what are they going to do for an extension? I definitely do think like a 3-year deal. I know Bill kind of mentioned it. I was going to say it earlier, but like a 3-year deal, decent money, but with the intent of, hey, you come out and you light the world on fire again. You're playing well in 24. Like, by all means, go for that monster extension. That's when you go and lay the hammer and you sign him for the big one.
Let's remember now, like, when you pay a guy money, that obviously hinders your ability to go do other things, right? Well, now obviously, like, we're kind of in a little bit of cap hell at the moment, right? Like, we're still on this Rodgers, situation with but we, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we still paying Bach. Still paying Jones, still paying Campbell. Obviously, we just paid Ja and Kenny, and Preston. So, I mean, and now who did we just sign? We just signed someone. Who was Gary? Thank you. We just got done paying Gary.
Rashawn's locked up.
So,
sounds like.
Go ahead.
Well, it sounds like in 2025.
Yeah, 2025 was the year that I was like, I think that's explodes. Right. That's where we're like, high
mil
60s,
over or under,
yeah, maybe something like that. Exactly.
Under,
so
not over.
I do think that could be the potential. Like, hey, let's go all in. Let's get like, what? But here's a nice situation, and I'm going to go back to the Brian Gutekunst thing. This is a Brian Gutekunst appreciation, show today because, and I wish I had the tweet. I'll pull it up from when I sent it to you guys in the text here, but. It is just nice knowing that regardless of whatever happens, let's say we make the playoffs, we sneak in We play the first round, and if it's against the Lions, hey, I think I would want to win that game. If it's against, if against the Eagles or the Cowboys or something, maybe we lose that game because we're just not ready. They have a lot of firepower. Maybe we just can't, put up the kind of points that they're putting up. Whatever. You lose the first ever playoff, appearance. You know what? Jordan Love, great. But that's where, as Brian Gutekunst can say, look, there's a lot of talent on this roster. I think based on the tweets that I saw from Bakhtiari, it sounds like he wants to be part of the plan moving forward. I don't know if that's the same, thoughts on Gutekunst, but let's just say, because you don't really have an established tackle, because we've seen some nice things out of Tom. I do think maybe he could be the guy at right tackle, but you really haven't found that at left tackle. You've been swapping guys all for the last 3 games. It's kind of getting annoying. I think you probably would like to just have Bach there, draft a tackle, right? I think that would probably be one of the biggest needs, and then hopefully let that guy learn from one of the best in the game, and then maybe 2025 or 2026, whatever you want to do with Bach, you move on from him. But I think the nice thing for Gutekunst now is you have so much talent across the board that's all young, that now it's just, plug wherever you need. Maybe you can truly, which I feel like they've always gone best available, but maybe you truly can just say, look, I don't really need an edge rusher, but I'll take another edge rusher. I do think tackle should be the thing. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to add, because you have all these young guys who are already contributing on rookie deals for the next 3 to 4 years, specifically in offense in the receiver room and tight end room, like that allows you then, when you do have that huge influx of cash coming in 2025, okay, then you go out and you get that one blue chip, 1A type, free agent guy or whatever it is that kind of complements and puts your team over the edge. That's what you can do when you have that kind of cap flexibility, but obviously it's all going to depend on how much they end up paying Jordan Love and what that looks like if it happens, of course. But Goody, he's taking his lumps in the media. And again, I think it's because he's willing to do something different. And you don't see a lot of teams just completely trade away or get rid of all their veteran pass catchers and go with a hard reset, essentially. And people, and I mean, let's be honest, a lot of us were critical and kind of wondering if it was the right step. But here we are, after this Chiefs game, and we're going and we're thinking, man, Wicks, Dobbs, Watson, Heath, Reed, Musgrave, Kraft. I mean, go down the line.
I never
all
understood.
These guys.
Yeah, I never understood the hate towards Good. I think it was maybe because Pat McAfee had that, controversial comment about him being dumb or whatever, or stupid.
Yeah.
And then people started questioning if, if he was good. But I've never said anything bad about Brian Gutekunst. I've always said, I've always trusted in whatever he's done. And I've said, look, the guys that he has, I think he's missed a lot in the 3rd round. I do think that round sucks.
Well, he's not perfect.
And exactly, there's not it's hard to hit on these players, especially when you have 7 rounds of it. I will still take, if you can give me a 7th rounder that's a starter, like a John Runyon, which I know he's been struggling, but if you can do that, right, and Carrington Valentine, and there's been plenty of other players in the past now too, but as far as Jordan Love, I'm going to say this right now. I've never hated Jordan Love. I've never said I wanted to cut him. I've never said I want to cut all these different players. I've said I have questions, I have concerns, and I do think, they should. And here's the thing. It's a fair statement. In that 4-game stretch, maybe there was a lot of people thinking the same thing. I wasn't saying we need to move on from him. I think there needed to be a question of, hey, maybe you bring in a guy, you draft someone, and then you can see how the competition works. So
where is Fred when I need him to witness just the chat holding you accountable for?
I know. What is going on here? I've never.
It's just
go ahead. Pull the receipts. Pull them. I've never said I hate Jordan Love. I've said I think that we need to maybe draft somebody if we're going to have that pick. Did I not pose that question? Did I not say if we have a top 5 pick, are we taking a quarterback? Did I not say that? Please tell me that. You can be the man of the witness here. Just because Fred won't, because he's going to take this and he'll be like, "Ooh, everybody's hates on Sanjay. Let's just keep
look at it.
Let's keep going." Yeah, I know. You know what? Yeah, go ahead. Start recording it. It's on YouTube. You don't have to record anything. It's on YouTube. Just go watch the shows. By the way, click follow, subscribe to Game On Wisconsin and to Sweep Studios. Look at that. It's like you guys just put it on a tee or put an alley-oop up and I just dunk it. But yes, I do have appreciation for the fact that Gutekunst saw something in Jordan Love. I didn't think the pick was great. I thought I was still on the mindset of like, okay, let's keep giving Rodgers something if we're going to keep considering ourselves going for a run. But in the end, if they think that he's the guy, then you have to trust it.
And that's why you and I aren't GMs, or never will be, because we're reactionary and we're emotional.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're irrational.
I'm emotional. I'm a human.
But I think that's what makes maybe Goody great, is that he's willing to see consistently 5 years down the road and try to make anticipatory moves. And he's not just, flowing with the wind, or, whatever, what's going on this season, got to do this, got to do that. So he's very stuck on what he wants to do. And for better or worse, like, that's a good trait to have. For the better, obviously, as a GM, because you don't want somebody who's just, pulling you left and right. So I think that he needed this draft class, because some of the other ones, a few of them, the 21 or was it 2020, one of those ones, the guys just aren't panning out. So to see this draft class with this much production year one, I mean, about as encouraging as you can possibly get.
Whose class was that? Is it Ja's class? That's nobody remaining except for Ja? I don't remember which one it is. It's pretty bad. Iowa Joe, you can let us know. And fine, it was a 5th round pick for John Runyon. I'm sorry.
Well,
you know who else was a bad pick? Josiah DeGuara.
Yeah, that's not working out. Ben Sims. I mean, how about him getting his first touchdown? I think he's gonna mix Josiah.
Didn't know who he was till he made that catch. Not gonna lie.
And apparently he was a childhood Packer fan. So I did not know this. And
did
so
he
must have been,
when you saw the touchdown, did you say who?
I didn't know who it was at first. That was the other end of the field, so I couldn't see it.
Oh, okay. Well, either way,
but
yeah. I thought it was Kraft at first, because I'm just like, oh, tight end white guy,
yeah.
Right, sure. But then I saw it was Ben Sims, and I'm like, oh, I still don't know.
So let's have the other big burning conversation that's been having this week amongst a lot of Packer fans, which is what do we do with Joe Barry? Because yours truly here, and all three of us, we're like, get this guy out of here. We're done. We don't want to see it anymore. Flash forward 4 to 5 weeks. Well,
he's making it real hard to get rid of him.
What do you think?
I don't know. Okay, but here's the thing. You just went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes' offense, and outside of the bad PI call, you held him to 19 points. And you did it with Carrington Valentine, which has he been a nice little, pickup surprise / okay, we could definitely get him in the rotation kind of guy. Maybe he could be opposite of Ja. I don't know. You get rid of Razul. Maybe you thought you had a lot of confidence in Carrington, and then you're like, okay, maybe we could see him as the opposite, boundary corner. But you're doing it with Corey Ballantyne, who is not good. You're doing it with Rudy Ford, Anthony Johnson Jr. Obviously, it was nice to get Darnell Savage back, but he ain't good either. I mean, he's pretty mediocre. And then what? And Jonathan Owens.
But he's squeezed
he's
stuff
been
out of those guys. Yeah,
he has been ascending. So it is hard for me to think that we can just say bye-bye, knowing that if we get Ja back and we get Eric Stokes back, and we're going to get, obviously we just got Campbell and Quay together again. It's hard for me to say what this defense could potentially be, because I don't know if we're going to I don't know if we're going to see more talent than we are already. I think this is probably the most talented defense we're going to see across the board. I mean, I know when we had Razul, people were probably going to argue then, and I know Adrian Amos too, but I think Adrian was declining way before, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's in my opinion. Hence why they didn't even bring him back this time that he got cut. But go ahead.
Well, it's a difficult conversation to have, because, generally this year, the defense, if you look at the box scores, they haven't been getting steamrolled and pummeled they're not giving up 30 points a game, and the Packers just getting blown out.
Exactly.
They've been in, aside from the first Lions game, they've been in every single game. I just think situationally throughout the year has been what's been frustrating, where it's in the Raiders game, we finally get the lead and try to close it out, and the defense immediately gives up points, and we lose the game. Those spots during the year are what piss us off. When you see Preston Smith lined up on, Justin Jefferson, or you got, 3 down linemen on an obvious run situation at the goal line.
This here is exactly why I hate Joe Barry. That Kelsey thing was. Anyway, go on.
Well, I agree that the traits are still there, and it's you want to give him credit because we've been slamming him so much. Yes, you guys have been playing better, but at the same time, I think that I think that they could do better. I think they could do better coaching to leverage the guys more, because again, it was still another year where the defense started slow, and now we are in December and they're starting to pick it up, which is fine. But it's like, where's that the whole year? Why are we starting out?
And
that
I
way,
agree with that. Maybe
with a veteran group,
right? And maybe you have the right mindset. I didn't even think about it that way. Like maybe you see it as like, look, this group is at the cusp of being something great. Maybe we just need to find the right captain for the ship, because we've maybe exhausted everything we can of Joe Barry. And maybe we owe a little bit of thanks to Joe Barry that he could probably instill some principles and basics and fundamentals, but maybe we need a different guy to get us over the hump, that now we can be like arguably a top 10 defense, top 5 defense, be a championship caliber defense. I don't know. Maybe
my gut tells me they don't move on from him, particularly if they make the playoffs.
I know.
I don't think
Matt
they're not going to want
that. I don't think Matt LaFleur has it in him.
Well, they're not. If they go on a win streak and they win like 6 or 7 out of 8, like how can you like? I think you got to think, all right. Like,
if you get steamrolled in the defense in the playoffs, what do you think?
Well, the NFC is tough. It's top heavy, and
what if you get steamrolled by the Lions again? Let's just say you play the Lions again, who you've shown that you could get after. And then you get steamrolled in the playoffs.
I think if they make the playoffs and then if they lose 50-0, he still comes back. I just
50-0. Okay,
maybe not 50-0, but you know what I'm saying. If they win and they lose in the playoffs, I still think he comes back, and LaFleur, to a fault, maybe a little bit too loyal. But how can the thing is it's a results driven league, and if they're getting results, like I understand again situationally the 3rd and 15s or the linebackers lined up on wide receivers, it's like. I hate that. I don't understand it whatsoever, but there's an old saying, the grass isn't always greener. So I'm not sure. I'm glad I'm not the one making the decision.
I will be the first to say this. And I don't just think if you cut Joe Barry that it's Brian Leonard. Like, Jim Leonard? Can we stop saying that he is the official, incumbent, defensive coordinator? Like,
it's a name. Packer fans, it's a name. It's a name.
I know. He's not even in Wisconsin anymore. Can we stop with that? Like, just, I'd rather see what Bill said, cut if they fired Robert Saleh, then go get him. Go get your best friend. The guy that actually has shown that he can, run a defense.
That's been a common one. If he got axed, that they'd bring him in. I don't think the Jets fire him. He's staying there because of Rodgers. They're going to see that out at least one more year.
I don't know. Maybe they make Rodgers the coach. I don't know. Maybe they make Hack the coach because Rodgers is like,
oh my God.
Could you imagine? Could you just imagine the spinning and the manipulation that we went through for the last 12 years, right?
It is funny. It is funny watching it.
It is. From the outside looking in, it is so hilarious to see just the chips falling slowly, and then you're just is he gonna blow up? I'm wondering if he's gonna. What happened about it's the guys in the building, right? It's the people. It's the people. Did that mother effer say that in our press conference when he came back from his retreat? Yeah. And he said it's always the people. Well, your people are all getting cut, or they're getting inactives, healthy inactives. So.
Well, if I'm the Jets, I might have said this to Fred, but I was like, you can come back here, but none of your friends are coming back here.
No,
they're all gone. They're all gone.
Gone.
Lazard gone.
Definitely.
Boyle's
gone.
Already gone. Billy Turner. See you later.
Billy Turner.
Hackett.
Adrian Amos gone already.
Yeah, and the only reason Hackett's going to come back is because he can teach the Aaron Rodgers offense, the offense within the offense. But anyways, this is a Packers show, not a Jets show.
I mean, Packers East is over there, Matthew. You have to understand that.
Yeah, I know.
Well, yes, this is a Packers show, but I do think if there's one thing I was excited about, if we can kind of keep talking about this Chiefs game real quick.
Yeah,
is I do have to give a little love to AJ Dillon. I do think
yes, please.
The guy has really just stepped up in a major way. I know you like to tweet, and I still can't believe the SNF Twitter account handle guy. The pictures they were throwing up of this game, Kelsey pointing at Lambeau. What is that? That's not
Grays Hill, baby.
And then you got this the Packers defending Lambeau with the offense, and it's got AJ Dillon out there. I'm like, what is this guy doing? He's been awful for the last 7 weeks, but I have to correct that. The last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, I'd even argue I do think AJ Dillon has shown a lot of, poise. He's actually, it seems like, which everybody kept saying he was like running behind his pads. It seems like he's running with a little bit of nasty to him.
Yes.
And I do think, he's giving that stability where we thought was like, oh my God, when he goes in, like, why is Aaron Jones not out there? Well, Aaron Jones is kind of half dead, so we kind of need him. Which that kind of tells me like that that Matt LaFleur really does trust him a lot. I mean, I get it. That's all you have too. Like, you really don't have much of a choice, but in this type of weather, in the cold, in December at night, when the ground is freaking hard as hell and like you got to tackle a big dude, this is the perfect specimen to have, holding onto the rock.
Well,
right?
Yes, he deserves all the props right now because for all the complaints we had about him earlier in the year, he's coming up big right now. And I thought the last 2 games, obviously, and particularly the Chiefs game in the cold and in the dark, like he was trucking dudes. He looked tough. He was running angry, like you said. So that's the AJ Dillon we want to see, and that's the AJ Dillon. If we see that the rest of the year, I mean, they're gonna have a good shot of making it into the playoffs with him. But I still think they got to have somebody else run alongside of him because you just need a little bit of that extra explosiveness, and that's definitely not Patrick Taylor. And the two times I saw James Robinson, I was like, oh my God, like that's not it either. So in comes Kenyon Drake today.
What a tease! Nicely done.
In comes Kenyon Drake. So that's got to be real exciting.
Big signing. Yes.
I mean, was surprised he was a street free agent. He must be coming off some kind of injury, but I mean, that's what you need. You need a little bit of smash and dash there if you're not going to have Aaron Jones available. So I love that move for the Packers. Just try to squeeze something out of that.
Hey, how about a little roll tide? That's Kenyon Drake, man. He was awesome in Alabama, and he's also played for his 8th team in the NFL. So I do think Kenyon Drake could bring an element to the Aaron Jones side of it. He has some speed. I don't know what he has left or what he can, if he's capable of doing it. We clearly saw that James Robinson didn't have anything left. And Patrick Taylor doesn't know how to get out of bounds. So like, I agree with you. I have 2 plays. You had 2 awesome plays and 2 dumb decisions.
Dude,
you had to stay in bounds. But I do think, yes, if Kenyon Drake can really, amp up, we'll
give you 5 to 8 good touches is all you really need.
Exactly. Yeah. If we can just have like under 10 snaps, and he could be like a Jerick McKinnon to me. And I do feel like, I think Jerick McKinnon is obviously a better running back than Kenyon Drake, but I do think there's that same kind of aspect, like how the Chiefs use him. And I do think that he could be that.
Well, and the Packers want to run their laterally with the running backs. They want to use them out in the passing game, flex them out. So it's like, I think he offers much more versatility than maybe Patrick Taylor or, James Robinson can offer. I think Patrick Taylor's advantage is he knows the offense really well. And I don't mean to disparage him. Like, I think he's had some nice plays, but I don't think he's explosive enough. I think if you're going to have someone spell Dillon, you want to be able to have the potential to rip one off. And I don't think either of the 2 guys that were spelling Dillon last game could do that. So it's why it's a shame that Emmanuel Wilson got hurt the same game that Aaron Jones went down, because I was really excited for his prospects, and I hope maybe he'll come back at some point this season. But to go back to Drake, I'm excited to see them work him in and kind of see what he's got to offer, because I think that's just I don't want to say it's this kind of signing, but you think about like when they won the Super Bowl back in 2010, like a Howard Green, like a guy that just not necessarily like a world beater, but a guy that gives you some good plays and can maybe disrupt a play or 2 or make a play. That's the difference in winning football and losing football. So good on Goody for kicking the tires on Drake.
I beg to differ here, Jason. That you're under the mindset that they wanted a field goal. I want a freaking touchdown. You had a minute. Yeah. You had over a minute before he was running that ball, and you're telling me you want him to go out of bounds for a field goal, and then you take that stupid sack to make it a. Obviously we made the field goal, so it's fine.
The sack I hated, but then thinking back, had he thrown it away, the clock stopped. So in a way, it kind of worked out.
That's 2 different times, because Kenyon Drake. Oh my, I'm already on that right now. The Patrick Taylor situation was before the half. That was what I was talking about, and that you could have definitely got closer for more shots.
Well, they were inside the 30, I think, at one point and they got pushed back. Yeah, so. I don't know. I agree. I thought they were trying to go
I'm not saying that it's completely his fault, but I do think maybe there should have been more communication. If they did tell him to go, stay in bounds, then fine. You know what? Whatever. But anyway, yes, I do think there's some game management though that I'm still kind of I'm hoping that Jordan Love kind of figures out, like that sack. You know, when you have that chance to potentially like put the dagger in a team, you know, and you can't, like, even if you want to like throw it away, then throw it away. Get out of the pocket and then just, you know, toss it, because you're putting that harder on, you know, Daniel or Anders Carlson, but then also you're not even giving a try to get the first down or even potentially take a shot in the end zone, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, both sides of the ball, I think, could clean up their act before the half and at the end of games. I mean, how many times this year have they've just, you know, whiffed on an before half possession, something happened, or even late in the game? I agree that they could be better both there. And the double thing, and the Rodgers is big on that, like scoring like 3 points before the half. Like, I think if we had gotten that, it's like we're never in jeopardy of that game getting coughed up at the end. Like, those 3 points absolutely matter. And I just think situationally the team has something to probably grow from there. The one part that really did make me mad was at the end of the game when you had that, was it 3rd and 6 inside the 2-minute warning? And if you get the 6 yards, the Chiefs are out of timeouts, the game is over. And that's when he takes the sack. It's like, you gotta dial up some kind of play that can get those 6 yards. I mean, I'm glad it worked out in the end, but it's like I still think in those moments, those critical moments, there could be a little bit more fine tuning. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen time in and time out with the losses that we've had. They've been like 1-score games, and it's like,
yeah,
either there was a Anders Carlson field goal missed, or we didn't even get him the ability to get that field goal because we
was it the Raiders game where we got out of field goal range before the half. That
right,
3 ended up
always that, and then like
yep.
Same thing with that happened that night too. Is like we got out of his range. Well, we were in his range, but he still didn't fully trust him on like a 52-yarder, I think it was.
Yeah, ended up
I forgot. And then we punt, right? We punted.
And then Whelan kicked it out of the back of the end. Was a net of like 20 yards.
Right, exactly. I do think there is obviously some things to kind of, you know, button up, but, you know, on an opponent like, you know, the Giants and the Panthers and, you know, and the Bears, I do think those are some teams that you can hopefully figure this out with. Now, the Buccaneers, I do think, are a little better than those three teams. I do think they're going to be fighting a little bit harder. They have some talent across the board. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, you know, Rashid White. What?
Well, the NFC South stinks. Like, I'm sure
right,
they're still mathematically in it. Like, they have something to play for.
It still makes me even more mad when, like, you know, we like lost to Desmond Ridder. This guy's been benched and then put back in the game, and his best game was against us. Against us.
Well, okay, the Falcons are 6
like
and 6.
MVP.
And the Bucks are 5 and 7. So it's like if everyone's kind of like, the Packers are just going to roll over the Bucks. Maybe they do, but I'm not so eager to write that off as
no,
just
I'm not
either.
W. And that's exactly. That seems, I saw someone over like earlier posted up, but like I do think that might be more of like a trap game than the Giants game. But again, I could be wrong, but I do think the Buccaneers are a well-rounded team compared to the Giants. I think the Giants still have a lot of holes, but
and the Bucks have they have weapons. I mean, they got Chris Godwin. I mean, Mike Evans.
Team,
come on,
that team is still basically the same team minus Tom Brady. So
Baker Mayfield will look like a former Heisman every once in a while. So
he's had some success in Green Bay. I was at that Christmas game when he was on the Browns.
The Browns,
he had
man,
4 TDs, but he also had like 3 interceptions. That was a Rasul Douglas game. I mean, that was a crazy game too. So it's don't count Baker out in December in Lambeau, because that guy actually kind of balls out. But anything else on the Chiefs game, or you want to kind of move towards the next one?
No, but, I mean, I want to give it all its credit, because it was such a magnificent win. I think when you look back, if this Packers team,
timeout. No, we got to talk about something though. Can we talk about Christian Watson?
Yeah, well, yeah. So let's talk about Christian Watson. How good he looks, how great the offense is when he's playing well. It's just a goddamn shame.
I hope my brother-in-law is watching this, because Michael is always like dogging on Christian Watson, and this guy had a game, dude. Like, this guy was just balling out. I do think he has really cemented himself as probably the number one guy. I do think I think Romeo is the sure-handed guy. It almost kind of reminds me almost like the Freeman / Robert Brooks days. And like, you just kind of know that he's kind of like the Robert Brooks. Like, he got the same number. always going to be sure-handed. It has really great hands. And like, is he going to wow you in a lot of the different like speeds and like, the dazzling catches? Actually, the funny thing is he's actually gotten like more jump balls than, than Christian actually. But, oh god.
Oh boy.
Are you kidding
come
me?
on.
Like, why is he here? Like, you have
Well,
nothing
he went to
better
he
than
went
Big
he
Mike?
went to the game. He went to the game.
He went to this game? Why?
Yeah, he was he got offered tickets. He went to the game. And he wore a Bobby Boucher jersey.
It's funny. Like, I don't hear him ever, like, until the Cowboys are doing well, and then there's a lot of chirping. Until then, he goes radio silent when they go back to their normal selves.
I think the Cowboys, if they saw that G coming to town, there'd be a lot of PTSD.
They've beaten the Seahawks. That's it.
About
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now, bro. You've beaten the Seahawks. That's it. That's all you've done. Let me see what you do this weekend. Eagles in Dallas.
If Dallas beats the Eagles, I think that
I'll give them their due. I will give them the credit. Yes, it is.
But they're tough.
You still have Big Mike. All right, you do. You still have that coach. I know that coach. That coach.
I love Big Mike. I love Big Mike.
Careful, Mr. Spike. What do you mean careful? Okay, anyway. So it's Christian Watson had an awesome game. I do think like it was good for him in the sense of like showing like, hey, look, I know that I've been injured. I know that I haven't, I haven't hit on these deep balls a lot other than the Lions game, which was nice on an underthrow actually. But I do think this was a nice one just to see like him as a route runner too. And like just see like that he's capable of running the right routes and then also just getting himself open because he has the speed. There is no one maybe outside of like 5 guys that probably can keep up with this guy. So if this guy can just figure out how to like run the right route and then also, hold on to the ball, I think this guy is, this is basically the receiver's job. So if he can just do that, then I think he could be really good. I really do. I don't know if he's like, Devontae territory, because I don't think there's going to be ever another guy like that. But, he definitely is special.
This is another guy that this show needs to apologize to you because we were all dickheads and like, oh, trade him, get rid of him. He stinks, this and that. Well, definitely Fred.
Yeah,
I know. I said.
You better watch your mouth because that ain't me. I've only said 2 people to get out of here. That's Josiah, and that's I don't even remember who I've said actually. It's probably just Josiah. Fred, on the other hand, has always hated on Christian Watson.
He has.
I would love for him to be on the show right now.
I'll be one to admit,
eat your code, Fred.
I got frustrated with him too, but someone just said it like. To me, the key to him is just stay healthy. If you're healthy, you're not having to have these periods of coming back and getting reacclimated, finding your football speed again. It's just like if you're healthy and you're in the offense and you're running and you're consistently making plays. Like I just think that he's such a difference maker. And to your point before, I feel like they're finally using him in different fashions instead of just using him as the stupid MVS decoy down the field. Like he's getting the end arounds again. No, he's getting some some routes over the middle to make a play in the intermediate. So I think that's what you have to do with Christian Watson. Get him into space somehow, and you see what the results are. He'll get around the corner and he'll outrun pretty much anybody. The only thing he can't run is his hamstring. And that's what keeps him down. Because he pulled up lame on that one.
I'm sorry. This like slander against apologetic Sanjay.
You're just taking your lumps today, buddy.
No, I've never said anything bad about Carlson. In fact, that was another one of Fred's. Who was like, maybe we should think about getting rid of this guy because he had a bad camp. Like, no, I was always on his case. And I said, this guy's the best kicker in the league. Ask my brother-in-law. I always say it every single game I'm at. I'm like, best kicker in the league, baby. Even on misses, this guy was going to be the all-time kicker of the Green Bay Packers. He's going to surpass Mason Crosby. Mark it right.
We are on a run of getting like epic kickers. It was like Chris Jackie broke the scoring record, then Ryan Longwell, then Mason Crosby. So maybe Carlson's the next one.
I think we know how to do what? We know how to draft offensive linemen.
QBs,
we know how to quarterbacks and kickers. Yep. That's it. I mean, we were doing pretty well in the receiver in the second round.
Yeah,
so maybe Jaden Reed and Christian Watson. You never know. Which I want to talk about Jaden Reed because you opened the gate with him on an end around, which was super awesome. And then I never saw him again. What? I mean, like, I get it. Like, Dobbs and Christian Watson had a really great game. And I think Tucker Kraft, awesome work by him too. But like, you got to find ways, just like the 49ers do for Tebow Samuel. Like, this guy's too special not to have the ball in his hands. I really don't understand it. And I don't, I'm not trying to say that I know how to put a better game plan for the Packers, but I'm just saying, like, you have these skill players and you have this big chart on your freaking, like, lamination, like all these plays, and you're telling me none of it's like designed for Jayden Reed. I get it. Like, maybe things change on the looks of the defense, and maybe you have to, like, I remember someone mentioned he canned out a lot of things, right? He has had a lot more power at the line of scrimmage, like, a la Aaron Rodgers. So maybe he did cancel out a lot of things. I don't know, maybe not. But it's just baffling to me.
I wonder if it was because, Reed has really taken off the last month, and defenses and opposing defensive coordinators are starting to pay him more attention. And so they're maybe taking away some of the stuff he would normally see. And I think that's why we saw like Heath and Wicks make a little bit more plays than they normally have in some other games, because they're getting in. And I just think it brings back the point. Like, they have so many options. Okay, if you want to take Reed away, okay, well, we'll throw Wicks in there. We'll throw Heath in there. Well, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think that you're right, though. He's the kind of guy that you want to get him a certain amount of touches a game. I'm not saying he's got to get a big chunk, but at least dial up a couple of plays just meant specifically for him and get him the ball, because obviously he's proven himself as a playmaker. And I still think that he's going to be one of the ones that lasts a while, because you're not going to be able to keep all his guys eventually. But I think Reed will be one of the ones that sticks around. And
I apologize too if they had one of their better corners on him. Just like when we have John, someone that you kind of just forget about a receiver for the night, because it's just like you're not going to get a lot when you got one of your better corners. Then okay, then that's fine. But I just feel like Jayden Reed was pretty massive in the last stretch of like 5 games, maybe 6 games, and like I just want to see more of it. I just think he's just way too valuable of a piece, especially now with Christian Watson. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe now with Watson's injury, he probably is going to sit Watson, would be my guess. The fact that you probably don't need him against the Giants, maybe
probably
give more
2 weeks. Yeah.
You give more love to Malik Heath, and Dontavian Wicks. And then now Jayden Reed's name gets called a little bit more. And then I don't know, maybe bring someone off the practice squad. So you're probably Bo Melton would probably be the next guy. Would be I don't know who else is on the practice squad right now. So, yeah, and exactly. I do think he's the Packer Debo, honestly. That's why I think he just needs to have the ball. We've been waiting for this player. I thought it was Cobb, and it wasn't. Like, the guy was too slow. And like,
what?
I just think Reed is exactly what I've been wanting for the longest time. Like, I've been banging at the door for this guy.
If you had to say right now, who do you believe are the Packers' top 3 receivers right now? Consider how they're all healthy. Consider that they're all healthy. Who do you think right now would be your 3?
There's no question. It's 87. It's why am I forgetting Christian Watson? Number 6, and it's 10.
You mean 9? No, he's number 9. Number
9. 9. Sorry, my bad. 9 and 11. 87.
So you Reed, Watson, Dobbs.
Yeah, and then it's probably no question. Is it Wicks at number 4?
I so bad want to put. Yeah.
Who you so bad want to what? You want to put Wicks over who?
I don't.
Don't even. You just saw the guy that just like on the 4th and 2 just had the breadbasket catch.
I love
the guy that's like high pointed touchdowns for you. You're really gonna throw that, and you're gonna throw him under him, or are you gonna throw him over Jayden Reed? Are you gonna throw it over to him?
It's a spoil of riches. Like, we got all these young guys. Wicks is so close to cracking the top 4. That's what
is happening here. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I was gonna say Watson, Reed, Wicks, Dobbs. You could interchange Wicks and Dobbs.
Everybody throw in your top 4. Everybody throw your top 4 in, or top 3. Sorry. All right, Bill, thank you. I'll go with this. This is what I was saying.
Yep.
Wicks over Dobbs. I am baffled. I really am. Okay, has Wicks had some really nice things? How many drops does Wicks have right now?
Well, a couple. Dobbs has had drops too, but Wicks has got that wiggle and he gets open. He's always open.
Okay,
are you putting
Wicks? Are you putting Wicks officially over Dobbs? Are you going Wicks, Watson, and Reed?
I mean, I'm so close to doing that. I love Wicks. I don't know what it is about
him. You're so close. You can't. You can't. The disrespect. The second
Let's just say it's good to have options, right?
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you.
Yeah, Rick,
I'm Watson 4? Well, okay.
Well, I mean,
okay.
hold on. That's valid. I mean, come on.
What is happening?
It's
Okay,
valid.
maybe first 3 weeks of the season, Watson. I mean, hey, first off, all your opinions are your opinions. I respect you. I respect the fact that you're on my show giving your opinion. You know what? I applaud you. You're on crack. No, I just don't
You
understand.
watch, brother.
What am I watching for? Wicks?
Wicks?
Okay, all right, fine. We'll see in this Giants game.
You can't deny that Wicks has been. He's been a guy. He's been a guy, and not a Jag guy. I mean, a guy.
We're gonna see on a really mediocre Giants team. We're gonna see. Let's talk about these Giants. We got Saquon. It's in New Jersey. All right, we're in the Meadowlands. You got Tommy DeVito, with his Italianness, and that's about it. I got nothing else. Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, what's the rookie's name from Tennessee? Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah,
so
play?
Yeah, he's been good.
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't see anything about this team that scares me. But at the same time, it is this a game that we're like coming off a real big high and we're like, oh yeah, and then now we get down to the scrums and the slums here and we're like, oh yeah, it's just Giants. We'll just
I think the scariest thing about the game is the Packers themselves. The Lions don't intimidate me. It's the Packers. How do they? These are two huge wins, both emotional. On the third straight national TV game, and you're going up against a much lesser opponent. It's probably the first time maybe all year you're going to be heavily favored against somebody.
No,
but how much do you trust Matt LaFleur to keep them focused and not, buying into all the hype? I feel like problem. Well, I feel like he's saying the right things, and I think when you watch the players give their press conferences, they reiterate a lot of what LaFleur says too. And I think because it's such a young group that you can keep them, probably mold them a little bit easier and keep them focused more.
Yeah, outside like Darius and those guys. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
exactly. So again, LaFleur has passed these tests. Yeah. Don't get me started about that guy. He's a bum. But yeah, I think that the test is going to be keeping these guys focused on the prize, not buying into the hoopla about, all of a sudden being a playoff team. It's like, you still got to go out and beat the Giants. And frankly, the Packers, like, I think they take a lot of people's best shots. They don't really get a lot of teams that just kind of lay down for them. And you're going to be in the Giants house, it's national crowd. They're going to want to play for some kind of pride, but you can't let Tommy DeVito outshine you and get the win, because this is bigger than Tommy DeVito and the Italian guys and all this shit. That's
I ain't pulled up with that crap. You know what? You got to go in there, put your, link on the table and just say that this is my, I'm going to just own the city today. You know what? I'm just going to say New York is mine and I'm going to go win this game. And yes, Tommy DeVito is the starting quarterback. Brian Daboll did state it today on his press conference that he will be starting Tommy DeVito. So I don't know. I really don't know what we got 7 minutes here, but I do think, what do you think about Saquon? Because this will be the best running back we face all year.
I think that if they're defensively, it's like the focus has to be entirely on Saquon. Like, I don't like what they did against a couple of these other teams that had bad QBs playing, and they just kind of, sat back and let the team run on him. Like, no, get up and stop the run and make Tommy DeVito beat you, because I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's got enough in him. Maybe they cash in a play or two here and there, but you're not going to do it for 4 quarters. So stack the box, make DeVito have to pass. I love what the Packers defensive front has been doing. They've been getting a ton of pressure. They've been getting home consistently, forcing some turnovers here and there. So if they can keep that going, and again, box in Saquon, I have no fear of Tommy DeVito throwing darts against the Packers. I just don't see it happening.
Well, again,
any given Sunday, Monday, but you never know.
Joe Barry defense is as bendable as it gets before a break. So Tommy might actually have 300 yards passing. I'm not kidding. If Ja plays though, which I want to ask you about Ja too, because I'm a little concerned because the guy practices and then doesn't play in the biggest game of the year against arguably the best quarterback in the game. You don't want to be in this game. I get it. His back, a back injury. I'm not trying to call him like soft or anything. I'm not. But at the same time, too, I'm just like, is his heart in it? Like, does he actually, like, does he want to be on the team? Does he want to play?
He's been very disappointing, and he's been often hurt. And I felt like this whole year, his whole vibe since the training camp has just been kind of bizarre. It just a little bit. I don't want to say standoffish.
Maybe this was a little life, though. Maybe this was the game that he's like, oh shit. Maybe maybe they need me to go on this little run. Maybe that was it. Maybe like he was kind of like, oh, go ahead, it was the Chargers. Oh, it was the Lions.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just sick of the Packers paying people and then they just get hurt and they just play kind of sort of the next 3 years. It's like it's not just him. It's been so many guys.
It has. It's not.
And I'm sorry that we get pissed off at him, but it's like I think we're allowed to be frustrated at this point that we keep.
I hope he plays because he's been practicing. That's the thing. He's been practicing.
When I don't know if it was you or somebody texting it before the game and like, oh, he's out. I'm like, what? Like he practiced the whole what? What are you talking about? Get your ass in the game.
This is Aaron Jones all over again on the defense.
So I don't know.
Go ahead.
Need him to play. And when Jair's on, he's motivated. He's really good.
And Eric Stokes, like if you're telling me I could have Eric Stokes and him back, like geez, bro. Like
well, here's the thing.
Ain't shit.
If Stokes comes back, I'm not putting him over Valentine or Ballantyne. You're CB4 at that point because it's like he hasn't played football in like basically a year and a half. Like, are you really going to let him in the game and just go, here you go? You got to work your way back, brother.
Ballantyne over Eric Stokes, a #1 draft pick. Did you really?
Dude, well, they both have been playing pretty well. You just going to go, oh, thanks, but sit down. Here's Eric Stokes. He's just been riding a goddamn bike for 19 months. let him get back up to football speed a little bit and work him in.
You might be right there. You might honestly be right. It's just crazy. Who do you think is better, Tucker Kraft or Luke Musgrave?
I think they bring two different things to the table. I think Luke Musgrave is like your vertical threat wide receiver, and I think Tucker Kraft's more of like the receiver or tight end the Packers normally have, which is like an inline blocker. He's strong, but he can also rumble for some yards. So they're the perfect complements. Thank you. Stokes is just where is he? Like, he came back, played four snaps in special teams.
He injured on a punt coverage.
God.
I think I'm actually gonna lean Tucker Kraft here. Luke was my guy, right? He was my guy from the draft. And watching Tucker's got a weird nastiness to himself.
He does. Yeah.
And he can block. That's the big thing to me is that he can block. And the fact that he's pretty close in speed with Luke just sometimes just doesn't look like he knows how to use his legs. Like when he runs and he has the ball, he looks like a baby giraffe. Like
oh my God, I was just gonna say he was like a baby giraffe trying to find his legs.
Yeah, like I'm just kind of like, what do you like? How do you always just don't know how to stay on your feet? He always falls, and like at least with Tucker, like he stays up, like he stays upright. So I'm leaning Tucker.
Once Luke finds his feet, though, like I think he's going to be such a playmaker, and I think LaFleur will use him and just slice up people.
And once Jordan Love knows how to touch pass a tight end,
that's another
once he figures that out. Right now, he's trying to figure out the Christian Watson thing, but once he figures out the tight end thing, I think we're going to have an MVP. I'm going to say,
if I'm Love, I bring Musgrave and Watson to wherever I'm at in the offseason. I just throw nothing but 50-yard bombs to him all the time.
All right. We got to get to predictions here. It's 2 minutes. Matthew, what do you got for us?
Okay, so Packers coming off 3 huge wins. I mean, frankly, I thought they'd be 0-3 in those 3 games, and we were looking at this stuff earlier in the year, but they're not. They're on a roll right now. They're hot. They're believing in themselves. They're playing with confidence. I think that they're focused. I think that they are being led by the right guys right now, and I think LaFleur's got these guys really believing that something's cooking here. So I think they're going to take that show to New York. We just talked about it. I don't really fear the Giants a whole lot. I think that if the Packers somehow slip up in this game, it's going to be because that they coughed up the ball one too many times. It's going to be because they were bad situationally, things like that. So I think that I haven't picked them to win, I think 30 or score 30 points the whole year, but I'm going to do it now. I'm going to say 31-13 Packers. I just feel like Jordan Love has got him rolling, man. The offense is feeling it. LaFleur's calling up great plays. even the Giants coming off a bye, I don't think that they can hang with the Packers offensively right now. And I just like what we're doing. So 31-13 for me.
I really thought about picking us to lose this game because I thought maybe
you did not. You did not. You did not.
It could be a trap game.
You're just saying that for the brand.
Barkley. No. You got Saquon. It's the best running back we faced. Maybe we give him like 200 some yards of all-purpose yards. I don't know. Like, stranger things have happened. We've lost to the Raiders, we've lost to the Falcons, and we've lost to the Broncos. I mean, like, these are all dog shit teams. All right, we lost to Evan Hall on the Minnesota Vikings. So don't tell me that nothing is like this is
done for me lately.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm picking us to win. All right.
Thank you.
I'm picking us to win. I'm not.
I wouldn't allow you to pick a loss.
I am gonna say 40.
Oh my! There it is. I was
42 points. I think Jordan Love is gonna say, "Look, here's my put it on the table." And he is going to just say, I have arrived. He's going to throw for 5 touchdowns. He is going to rush for a touchdown. He is going to show that he is the biggest thing in the NFC, possibly in the NFL, honestly. He's going to shut up Adam Shine. He's going to shut up Colin Cowherd. He's going to shut up anybody that's
who's the guy who's trying to come back around who said Jordan Love can't play football, and now he's like trying to like, oh, I was wrong. I'm like, yeah, you
Shine.
were. Yeah,
Adam Shine. Yeah, I just think that this Giants team is on full tilt. They silently might be tanking for Caleb Williams or Drake May.
They should.
I just think that I got texts coming in about my 40 burgers. So I know. I usually would say a loss. Like, I've gone from like barely giving us 10 points to now giving us 40 points. I'm all over the place. I'm all
right.
Yeah. Anyway, so I do think that this is a big game for us. I think the defense actually holds them out. 42, I think 42-14. I'll give you this, Tommy DeVito. You can have a couple touchdowns.
Yay.
That's all it's going to be. It's going to be scrapyard touchdowns in the fourth. But I think this is a big game for the defense and Joe Barry, and I think Jair Alexander hopefully plays, because if he plays, I think this game is a shutout. I don't even know how you're supposed to, I don't even know how you play on this defense, because right now they're playing on all levels, and I don't know if they can be stopped. So Monday night game under the lights. I don't know if Tommy DeVito is ready for that. So that's going to do it for us, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. Fred will hopefully be here next week. I can't imagine he's going to miss it. So we missed him, and hopefully he will grace us with his presence next week.
Yeah.
And Matt will be here as well. Thank you so much. We always appreciate you guys giving us a little love for an hour. Thank you so much. And yeah,
thanks for hanging.
We will I guess we'll see you next week, right?
Yeah. Same time, same channel.
Is that same time? Yeah. Okay. All right. With that being said, I'm Sanjay. That's Matt. Go Pack. Go!